This is the BiggerPockets podcast, show 136.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the BiggerPockets podcast, here with my co-host, Mr. Disneyland himself, Brandon Turner.
What's up?
What's up, man? How was your trip? How was Disney?
It was good. It was good. It were long lines, but it was well worth it. You know, we use the Fast Pass a lot.
Nice.
And I spent the last week at Disneyland, and I got like 24,000 steps was my highest on my Fitbit.
Yep.
So I rocked last week for steps. But.
It was like the first time I've ever actually seen you come even close to beating me on Fitbit. So
I actually walked last week, so it was amazing. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I went on Pirates of the Caribbean like 5 times.
Yeah. Did you cry when it, that waterfall drop happens?
There's a little bit of tears happen.
Okay, guys, I want you to go on Facebook and Twitter. I think they're just on Facebook. Go on Facebook and find Brandon and look at his pictures. There are some really funny pictures.
Well, the best picture, maybe I'll try to upload it to the show notes page. The best one was we did the Tower of Terror, which is that drop, right? You drop it, right?
Your wife.
My
Heather.
wife. Yeah, Heather is so funny. But even more funny than her is the girl behind us. Like, I don't know if you noticed this girl behind us, like, it looks like she's being murdered. And like her scream. And I did slow motion on my phone.
Did a slow-mo video.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'll try to upload it to the show notes page at biggerpockets.com/show136. Check it out.
Awesome. All right. So today we've got a really cool quick tip for you. We're going to talk about a relatively new feature that we launched the end of last month, which are sub forums. So basically we went and launched these forums for each state in the country. And then we've launched forums for each major metro in each state. So if if you want to go and subscribe, you can now subscribe to the California forum. You can subscribe to the Los Angeles forum. You could subscribe to the Dallas forum, the Des Moines forum, whatever you want to do. So you can go macro like state. You can really focus in and just do a city. Or, I would personally recommend if you're in a city, I'd probably do the city and the state just to kind of see what kind of results start coming through. But definitely follow these forums, subscribe to your local city and state and other areas that you're interested in. And, we've got the keyword alerts already, but just having the state forums, I think it gives people more of this, communal vibe where they can just say, I'm only going to connect with these people or people interested in this area. So jump in there, check out the sub forums. You can find them on their local networking forum, or if you go to BiggerPockets forum categories by biggerpockets.com/forums/categories, you can find it. We'll link to it in the show notes and check it out. Get networking.
Cool. I like it. That's going to be really helpful. So excited to be engaging in the Seattle and the Tacoma stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Let's move on to. I want to read a rating and review from iTunes this week because I really like this one a lot.
Awesome.
Mainly because it started with Addicted from A. Lasieur. I hope I'm saying that last name right. It said, I just joined the BiggerPockets community a couple weeks ago and have been listening to 3 hours of podcasts daily ever since.
Yes.
Woohoo! Can't get enough of the excellent anecdotal information and insightful tips. So love that. Thank you so much, A. Lasieur, for that 5-star review in iTunes. So cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening, please jump on iTunes and leave us a rating review. You can also leave us ratings and reviews on Stitcher and SoundCloud. Please get in there, help us out, help us get more visibility for the show.
And subscribe.
By doing that. And definitely subscribe. If you're
iTunes.
Not subscribing, You're missing out. There
you go.
So, all right, let's get this thing going. Today's show is with Shawn Holsapple. Yep. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too bad.
I think that's right.
Shawn is a real estate investor focused on the Indianapolis, Indiana real estate area, one of my favorite places on planet Earth. that would be the place where the guy threw a can of soda at me as I was stalled on the side of I-80 on the highway, traveling to St. Louis for college one year in the middle of summer. Yeah, it was awful and not pleasant. But Shawn hopefully was not that guy.
Hopefully not.
So Shawn is an active real estate wholetailer. He's busy doing lots and lots of deals. He does well over 100 transactions a year. built kind of a cool business model. So pay attention, listen up, and let's bring him on. Shawn, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here finally. I've been waiting for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, you've been
us too.
Yeah.
Forever.
I mean, we sent you all these messages, and you kept saying, I'm too busy, and well,
finally here we are, though.
Finally, here we are.
Yeah.
And today we're talking. Go ahead.
No,
what?
Go ahead, Fred.
So today we're going to talk about a little bit. It's
Monday.
A bunch of stuff.
Monday.
Today is Monday. Today we're talking about like finding deals. I know I want to cover that because I hear you're one of the best at finding deals. So that's the reputation anyway that you have. So I think we'll cover that today.
He is in the Rust Belt though, so let's just keep that in mind.
Southern Rust Belt. So
where are you from? Where are you at?
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana right now. I'm from Mitchell originally, which is a small farming community a couple hours south.
Okay. All right.
It's in the rural areas.
Yeah.
Notice, he's picking on you.
Yeah, make fun of me.
All right, Shawn, let's talk about this. My notes, we've tried to switch this format up, and we have very limited notes so that we kind of come at you guys with fresher questions, hopefully. The bio I have is you lived out of the country before moving back to Indiana, and you started investing out of the country. Am I correct on that? Is that how you got going?
Yes, spent 5 years in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay.
And I got back to Indiana late 2010.
Okay. So tell us about investing in the U.S. from Canada. What was that like? How'd you get started?
So I picked up Rich Dad, of course, for the second time in late 2008. And picked it up again and realized I've got to really do something with my life. I've been working 30 plus years with nothing to show for it, basically. And so happened there was a 3-day Rich Dad event there in Calgary, around that same time frame. So I went to that, took my wife, actually drugged my wife. And
you drugged her? I mean,
dragged.
Like Bill Cosby style.
Yeah, no, not that kind of drugging. As by the back of the hair and this kind of drug. And so finally got her there, and halfway through the second day, for her, it hit. The light bulb went off. She's like, okay, now I get why you're looking at houses all the time. Because up to that point, is like, we can't even afford one. Why are you looking at more?
Yep.
The usual stuff. So went to that, really opened my eyes on what to do, or all the strategies. And one of those was getting creative with your credit cards. So while I was in Calgary, it's like West Coast US. There's this, everything's very, very expensive. A shack there is $450 to $500, and you can't touch a duplex less than $600 to $650 that rents for $1,200 a side. So there's no cash flow. So I was looking back home, looking at my some smaller towns first, and was seeing duplexes in the 50, 60, 80,000 range. Then I happened to come across one in Indy that was, there were 30 and 40. So that kind of got me looking at Indy, because up to that point, I figured at the larger city, it would cost more. So I wasn't even looking here. And one thing led to another, and ended up looking at a little single family here in Indy. Of course, now this is 2 years later, which I always kick myself for waiting so long to do anything. I was making offers, but really conservative, kind of scared to make too many offers. Always thinking, what if they say yes? That kind of stuff. And so there was one. It was from another wholesaler, and I was on the list by then, of course, and came across. It was listed, I think, at 10.5, which was rough, to say the least. But anyway, I offered 95 just to throw out an offer, and they said yes. And it scared the crap out of me. I was like, now what? So I was still in Canada, of course, and it was here in Indy. So I did everything remotely. The way I purchased it was I had a line of credit at that point, a signature line of credit, a small one, and that was my first purchase, was just a line of credit. And then I bought it and got a property manager involved. He said, "Yeah, it's not too bad," so got it fixed up. Started renting it out at $550, and that was the very first one. 6 months later, threw it on some website for sale. Someone in California bought it for $18,000, and I was like, "Wow, that was kind of neat." So,
wow. Okay, that's pretty good, man. So you you bought this. Was the original intent to buy and hold, or was it to turn it like you did?
Yes, hold was the original go. Even during that 3-day weekend event, he said it should be you flip for quick funds or for quick cash to build up your so you can buy the buy and holds. You see, if you don't, you run out of cash pretty quick. And I didn't want to flip at that point, so I thought, well, I'll just skip that stage and just go right to the buy and holds. Well, after 2, I was broke and I was making a whopping $250 a month or something, so that wasn't going to work. So I had to get into something else besides that. But yes, that was the original plan was to have these rentals for passive income.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on. Cool.
So, all right. So I want to jump in here because you mentioned it took you a couple years to make your first offer, and a lot of people listening to this show right now are probably in that same spot. 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, they decided they want to get in real estate, and they still haven't done it yet. Do you have any good tips for them on like how do you overcome that, whether it's fear or analysis paralysis or whatever it is? Like, what do you tell people today to get over that hump?
I just tell them to get off the fence because I was really bad about looking at. Well, one thing when I went to that 3-day event, there was about 35 different strategies that he talked about, which completely just melted in my brain and I had no idea. So I was so caught up in all these different ways to do something, then getting the spreadsheets out and looking and throwing in numbers and saying what if and now looking back, I should just bought it. Especially at that price here, in our area, it's easy to pick up something less than a used car. So I tell people it's less than a used car. Even if you lose it all, it's still less than a guru, big $40,000 training camp.
Yep.
And which you won't lose it all. So I tell them just to buy a little $15,000-$20,000 beater, go through a simple rehab with the pain of the contractors and which is a huge deal, which I think it is everywhere, and just get that under your belt and you'll learn so much. And just don't be so scared. When I go to meetings here and networking events, I see the same people month after month, year after year, and I talk to them. They're like, yeah, we're still looking, or we're thinking about maybe in 6 months doing that some bandit signs or that yellow letter thing. I'm like, what do you mean in 6 months? You should do it yesterday.
Yeah.
And
I like that. I like the you can't really apply that in every market, right? So if you're in Calgary, obviously where a duplex is $600K, you have to be a little more careful. But I guess in an area where you can pick up properties for so cheap, I guess it kind of becomes a little easier, and your risk is obviously a lot less. On a per property basis. I mean, what's the most you can lose is the $10K you got in the property, and hopefully, you haven't screwed too much up, and you have insurance to make sure you don't get sued and so on and so forth. But I like that. Get off the fence, stop sitting around, and you're when you can't screw up as much, it should be easier, I guess, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, what exactly is your main strategy today then? I mean, you bought that first rental. Are you flipping, wholesaling? What do you do?
I do a lot of wholesale, but it's not the typical assignment. I do the wholetailing, I guess you call it, or we're actually buying clothes.
Okay.
And then turn around and offer it out to my buyers list. That's my active income. That's my JOB.
Okay. So let's take that back a little bit for people who have no idea what that means. They've never heard of wholesaling before. I mean, maybe can you kind of just give us a big picture of what the entire process means?
Well, what is wholesaling and what is wholetailing? Just kind of clarify those.
So a typical wholesale would be you find a property either through bandit signs, direct mail, friends, whatever, and then you get that property under contract, and then you would assign it to someone that's going to buy it. So you're actually going to assign that contract to someone like me that's going to buy, and then we close. Versus wholetailing is I don't worry about I still get in a contract, but I actually am going to close. Versus wholesaling, you can still walk away. If you don't ever find a buyer, you can just walk away. There's usually no earnest money involved. Versus what I do, there is earnest money. It's I always close. If I say I'm going to buy it, I'll buy it no matter what, just to keep my name out there as someone that will close. And then once I close, I usually have 20, 30 days before closing, because I do a lot of HUDs and stuff off the MLS, which we can talk about in a minute. And so that gives me time to do the marketing, and I try to have it sold before I close on it. Then I just do a double closing.
That's awesome. Right. So how long do you typically own the properties for then?
Anywhere from just a few hours for double closing out to 30 days max usually.
Okay. And are you always selling them to cash buyers, or are you selling them to retail buyers ever? Like just homeowners?
For the most part, it's other investors, cash buyers. Once in a while, a owner occupant will see my ad on Craigslist or wherever, and they'll want to buy it. And sometimes they have cash, or they have financing lined up where it's a fit, and I'll do that.
So why do that? Why sell to a cash buyer when you can potentially sell to a retail buyer, presumably for more money? Is it, you don't want to pay the commission to the agent? Would that make the difference in the sale price? Do you think you'll sell it quicker for cash? Why sell to an investor where presumably you're selling at somewhat of a discount to what you could get retail?
Sure. Yes, you can. I could probably go through the pains of getting it up to retail value and ready for the market. And that could be 30 days worth of rehab plus another 30 to 90 days on the market to make 5 to 10,000 more, maybe 15,000 more, versus selling it right now at a smaller profit. But it's all about volume for me. I'd rather take a quick nickel right now versus a slow dime in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. That's great. So how many deals are you doing? I mean, you obviously got a volume business. What do you do in a typical year now?
I did 155 closings last year.
Ooh, that's it?
That's all. And
now a little disappointed, Shawn. I mean, I was thinking you were in the big boy club doing maybe 175, but
now that's closing, so that could be the same property twice when you buy. That's closing, but still, 75 to 100 actual separate properties. Out of that, I'll cherry pick a few and to keep for my own portfolio.
Nice.
For rentals, and the rest I just sell.
I'm going to jump in. I'm taking this one. I got this.
You probably have the same question.
Okay. Is the business just you? Are you the only one, or do you have somebody else helping you out?
For the most part, it's me. Got my wife involved. She spends 3 to 4 hours every day doing some HUD offers and just taking care of all the paperwork that I tend to generate, which is a lot sometimes. I got a VA, works 10 to 15 hours per week, which helps out on tracking some stuff and some offers.
VA means what?
Virtual assistant.
Perfect.
Cool.
She's a college grad from the Philippines at $3 an hour. Love it.
There you go. There you go. Economies of scale.
Yes, I used to always think that was for a CEO or some big expensive organization, and when I finally got around to getting a VA involved, it was super easy and very, very helpful.
Yeah. How did you find that VA?
That one's through Odesk, which I think they've changed their name now, but you can still look up Odesk. And
Upwork, it's called now.
Yes, right.
Upwork, and the way that works is they get a commission of I think 11% on every hour. So the $3 you're actually spending $3.33 per hour, and Odesk gets
it's kind of tough, but I try to pay for it. It's some weeks are about $16, and it's a little hard to give up that coffee, but
So what does the VA do?
But hold on, and we joke here, but I mean, I think it's an important thing because some people might be listening, being like, Shawn's a jerk. He's ripping this person off. That $3 an hour to this girl in the Philippines that you're paying, she's probably pretty happy with that amount of money.
Because from what I'm told, an average for a day wage there's about $5 all day, and she's making $3 an hour. And holidays, I'll throw her, $20 bonus, which is huge to her. It'd be like us getting a 40% raise one week as a bonus. You just got to put it, just add the extra zeros there, and then it kind of hits home, like, what they're actually making.
Yeah. I love the idea. I mean, I read this first, the whole concept back in the 4-hour work week of hiring a VA, and I've hired several since then. In fact, we've been working with a guy named Dave in the Philippines. Dave is one of my favorite people in the world. He actually edits these podcasts.
Yep.
So Dave, what's up, man?
Dave's the man.
Dave's the man, right? And Dave lives in the
and
Philippines.
Dave's making a lot more than $3 an hour.
Dave is, because we like him so much. Like we really like him. I mean, he does awesome work, and so like I love the idea of hiring, outsourcing the little things. Even this is a point they made in 4-Hour Workweek, which I don't think people talk about enough. But just the idea of hiring somebody, even if they don't make you money, the learning how to manage an employee. If you're not good at that, that alone was worth the cost for me when I started like hiring people, because I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm not going to go hire a $30 an hour American to learn how to be a manager. You can start a lot cheaper that way. So what are they doing for you? I mean, what is this VA actually doing for you in your business?
The biggest thing is every day I have the HUD home store forward her all the new listings in our area, and then she puts those on a Google Doc that we all share, and then I go in and put the offer price of what I think that property is worth. Then my wife comes in the afternoon and she puts the offer in. That's her main thing. I have her do other little spreadsheet things, odds and ends. She made my Facebook page for my company. She charged me $2.20. I give her $5.
You're a generous man.
I could have stopped and took the hour to do it, but that hour I could be doing a deal that makes thousands versus $2. So that's why I look at everything now.
That's great. So, I mean, it sounds like you're starting to rely on her to really run back end for you. Are there other things that you think that you could probably pony off and haven't yet done, and you're just kind of working it little by little?
Probably. When I first started, the first VA, the first two failed miserably because I had too much on their plate all at once, which I found out after reading the 4-Hour Workweek. You're supposed to start slow and work them up, and so since then I did that. But I could, she could be making HUD offers maybe, or some other, I could have her doing some follow up with marketing, but I don't do a whole lot of marketing anymore. But there's all kinds of stuff you could have someone do.
Yeah. Right on. So you don't do marketing, and you're a wholetailer, not a wholesaler. But like a lot of people would say, well, to be a wholesaler, you got to constantly be marketing. You're getting, it sounds like, the bulk of your deals on MLS and HUD, right? HUD Home Store?
Right.
Okay.
And the online auctions too.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about HUD. What's the upside? What's the downside of HUD?
The upside is it's online. It's real easy to make an offer. You can, once you get it automated, which I've got, we can do an offer in 45 seconds, and you just plow through it. And the downside is once they say yes, you've got 24 hours to get them the documents. Actually 48 to the end, but you have to get it mailed in 24 hours. So you got to stop what you're doing, print the 20 plus pages, sign it in blue ink. Everything.
Blue ink.
Yes, and they're very difficult. They have a lot of little quirks that has to be done, but in the end, you still get a good property. Yeah, and so that's and unlike other markets, that a lot of people say you can buy HUD at 88% or 82%. I mean, I've bought stuff at 15% or 20% before.
Wow.
So I actually make an offer on everything in the central part of the state.
Now these aren't retail properties, right? These are foreclosed
correct
properties. Yeah.
And some are nice and some are ugly and some are hideous, but you have to offer accordingly. And I just offer on everything. If it's something I'm not sure about and it looks like in a rough area, I'll usually offer like 20 or 30% of the list. And sometimes they still say yes.
And you're not shying away from rough areas then, it sounds like. Okay, no. So you'll buy anything anywhere as long as you can get a discount.
Absolutely.
Right on. What's the max that you would pay on a property? I mean, as far as discount, or do you not have one?
Yeah, I mean, once in a while we'll have one on the nice side of town that it's $600,000 and it's worth $1 million. I'll still offer on that.
Yeah, got it.
That's cool. I mean, so let me ask you this: Do you happen to know about what your ratio is of like how many offers you make versus the ones that get accepted? I don't know if you track that, but you just have a guess on what that would be.
It's low. I mean, we tend to offer whatever is available. Right now there's about 65 in our area on HUD at least, and we offer on every one of those. And we'll close 1 or 2 a month. out of
So
that.
you offer on 65 properties, closed on one or two. Next month, you'll probably offer on another 65, closed on one or two.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been stressing this thing a lot lately on the BiggerPockets webinars that I do every week, and I think I mentioned it last week or the week before here on the podcast. The idea that people complain a lot, like, I just can't find any deals. And what I always say to them now, like my new line is, okay, how many offers did you make this week? And the answer is always, none. Well, how many deals did you analyze this week? None. So I'm like, in a way, like, how are you ever going to get an offer accepted if you don't make the offer in the first place? How are you going to make the offer if you don't analyze the deal? How are you going to analyze the deal if you don't find the deal across your desk? Like, just work backwards and then start working forwards from that point and just start throwing out, yeah, I mean, exactly what you're doing. I mean, it's kind of largely a numbers game, and you seem to have figured that out.
Right. And I'll have people come to me wanting me to make offers for them because I'm a broker, and they'll have one, they'll have one property. They'll make one offer and they'll wait.
Yep.
Like, man, you got to make 10 or 15 or 20. We're especially now, we're in a seller's market, have been for about a year. And inventory is very tight. It's very competitive here, and you have to really be on it. So you have to make multiple offers just to hope to get one. It's halfway close.
Yeah. And I mean, you're basically building this pipeline of deals that consistently are coming in. I mean, would that be the right way to describe that?
Yeah, and there's sometimes, there's been times where I'll get 5 or 6, on the same day accepted, and I'm like, holy crap, now what? And the first few times that happened, it was a little scary. But now I know I can do something with it. I got enough private money to work with that they're always happy to do whatever, and so we just go.
Nice.
Love it.
So basically, you've built this business where, you can deal with the things that you can't plan for, right? I mean, you can't plan you're not planning to have 6 offers get accepted in a day. But if they do, you got the private buyers, you got money, you got whatever you have, you've got a lot of different exits that you can potentially take. So actually knowing and understanding what the possibilities are for somebody who's listening, who's new, is going to really help you out when you come into these situations.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. So we talk about HUD. Let's talk about, I want to hit really quickly auction and MLS as well for everybody. So let's do MLS next, which is, I'm assuming are you buying just REOs, or are you buying, market price properties as well?
Probably 80% are REOs, but there's still those few people that they're motivated. I just bought one last week. She'd lived there for 30 years. It's in a kind of rougher part of town. She was at the age that she needed to move into a home. So her family came in, and they put it on the market. It was listed at 39. I offered 20, and they said yes. And so we closed in a week. Everybody's happy. Yeah. So that happens on occasion, but for the most part, it's REOs.
Okay, right on. And obviously, in the Rust Belt, there's opportunities like this. I mean, there's definitely a lot of a lot more inexpensive properties available.
Yes.
And by inexpensive,
this year,
really quick to clarify, because this is where we all get caught up with me, is there's cheap and then there's inexpensive, right? So
yes,
inexpensive meaning you can get a discount on what the value of the properties. They're also cheap, but and by cheap I mean you don't have to spend $150,000, $500,000 to buy a property. You can buy them for 20, 30, 50. But a lot of people, especially new people, are like, oh, let me go buy this house because it's $10,000. It may be $10,000, but it might need $90,000 in repairs. Cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal.
Absolutely. We have places here in town that, I've actually got paid to take a house because they had some liens from the city, or it was in the war zone. And they'll hear, here's $3,000, please take it. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Nice.
And so that's a cheap house.
So what's the most you've ever been paid to, like, how? What's the most you've ever been paid to take a house over?
That one, it was probably about $3,000 or $4,000 on a really nasty house that had maybe $10,000 worth of city liens. But we can go to the city and ask them for help, and they'll usually knock it down. So that $10,000 lien might be $1,200. All
right. So let's take that property. I mean, I don't know if you remember it, but you got paid. I mean, like, that's crazy. Right. Hey, I'm going to give you money to take this house. So you got paid. There was I'm assuming there were a bunch of liens on it. Was that 10,000 in liens on that one?
Yes, it was a lot. It was actually over 10.
Okay.
Actually, there's just one recently that I'm working on that it's going to, they're going to end up giving me close to 3,000 at closing. It's got over 10,000 worth of liens. I know we can go to the city and probably get that knocked down to 12 to 1,500. I got buyers lined up that will take it as is. I don't even have to go to the city.
Okay.
I'll sell it for 3,000 or 4,000. So, I can still make a few thousand. They're still buying it where they need to be. Then they'll put the effort into going to the city, getting it fixed up, and then they'll get it to a rent ready place, and they'll sell it, as a turnkey, maybe for 30 or 40,000. That rents for 650, and everybody's happy.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I have a question on that. Maybe going back a little bit, but you mentioned making lots of offers like this, whether it's on the MLS, whether it's the HUD one or the auction, which we haven't really talked about yet, but we'll get to. Basically, how do you know how much to offer? I mean, is it just because you know your city inside and out? I mean, this is a struggle a lot of people have. I want to go put a lot of offers in. I have no idea what to offer. How do you know that?
If it's a rental, I've got a cheat sheet of a large turnkey provider in town. So he's told us ahead of time, if it's $650 rent, I'll pay $33 all in, for example.
Okay.
So I know he's the lowest, he's the cheapest person in town, and that's putting it nicely. But he's, if he'll pay that, I know, or if I can get it to fit those numbers, then I can get to fit anybody's numbers. So that's where I start. If I can hit his numbers, then I know
that's a great idea.
It's good to go. So that's what I use for a rental. If it's an area that I know really well, which is several areas, then I already know what it's worth, and so I can do that. If it's something for retail, I'll just do some quick comps and see what they're selling for. I try to use the 65% rule. 65% of the actual ARV, which is after repaired value minus the rehab, is where we try to be, and then I can still wholesale that because everybody around here is using 70 to 78% because it's so hard to find a deal.
Yep.
I can still wholesale that and still make a little bit of a spread there in the middle.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I mean, do you have a minimum profit that you want to make on a deal? Do you say $1,000 is my minimum, or is it just as much as you can?
For the most part, it's when I first got started, I was happy just to make a few $100.
Yep.
And then, of course, with all the books I've read and I see how things are going, I shoot for 10,000.
Okay.
And I easily settle for 2 or 3. It was kind of 10x thing.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's very much like the Grant Cardone 10x. Increase your goals by 10 times, and then if you fall short, at least you're way further than you were to begin with. So.
Right.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's go back to auctions. We've talked about HUD Store, talked about MLS. What do you mean by online auctions? What is that, and how does that work?
So there's auction.com, there's Hudson and Marshall, which just merged with Genesis, and there's a couple of others, but probably the biggest one I work with is auction.com. So they have listings, and what's nice about them, probably 60 to 70% of their auction properties aren't on the MLS for some reason, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, so the competition is a lot less. And so I can find those through the auction.com. When you first get started, they're going to charge you $2,500 per property to make an offer. And then if you don't win that property, they're going to, of course, give that back. Once you close 6 to 10,
you said they do give that back.
Yes, they'll give it back to you if you don't win, of course. Right once you have a few under your belt, then you can be part of the VIP program, and then they'll give you your own personal office person in their office to help you ahead of get the pre-auction deals and send you out a list that fits your needs, and they'll help you. And what the biggest thing is, you don't have to do the $2,500 anymore, so it's 0.
Interesting.
Nice.
So I just like HUD, when I with the searches, so we register for everything in my area, and that could be 60 to 100 homes on auction.com, and I'll make offers on all of them. And just see what sticks.
Yep.
Nice.
Cool.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So, what percentage of those do you think you're?
It's a bit higher, and I think I've closed about 45 this year with auction.com.
Oh, wow.
versus probably 15 or 20 last year. So I really picked up the pace with
Got
them, and it's probably a 30, between 30 and 40% closing.
Are there fees or anything like that you have to pay beyond the money that you put up?
Sometimes there's a fee. It's between 2 and 5% of the selling price, but for the most part, I'd say 80% of these there is no fee, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Say, I should ask this question earlier, and I know we're kind of jumping around, but that's what we do when we don't, that's what conversations do. So you mentioned earlier about when you're analyzing deals, looking at that other guy who's the cheapest in your area, and that's kind of how you figure it out. But you need to know rehab costs in order to do that. Like, you have to know about what it's going to cost to fix it up. How do you know that? I mean, how do you know that, and how does a new person coming into real estate figure that kind of stuff out? How much it's going to cost to fix up?
Right, you can use a square footage number, but that comes with experience too. For me, it was just getting out there and doing a few rehabs. So for rental, for example, I know what 10,000 will get me now, or 15,000 or 20,000.
Yep.
So I can usually walk in or just see the pictures for the most part, and already know it's going to take 10 or 12,000 to get this rent ready.
Yep.
Right on. Yeah. So it kind of becomes this second nature, doesn't it? I mean, and I think a lot of people don't, especially the new folks, don't necessarily get it. And by the way, we've got a great book. I'm sure you probably saw it or have checked it out. The Jay Scott's book, the Ultimate. The book on, the book on. I'm so used to Ultimates. Yes, the book on estimating rehab costs. But I think all this stuff. I mean, just like pricing a property. What's this property worth? If you've gone and seen 100 properties of similar type, you pretty much know what a property is worth. I mean, that's what agents do. That's what sophisticated investors do. It's the more you see, the more you do, the more you know, right?
Absolutely. And that's actually how I got my start. I was acquisitions manager for a little company that was a turnkey company. So I was looking at between 40 and 50 homes per week, taking 100 pictures each, doing a little spreadsheet for rehab on each. And after you do that for a few weeks, you see lots and lots of homes and start getting a good feel on what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so for new folks, I mean, if you haven't heard it 100 times yet, you haven't heard it enough. Get out there and go look at properties, right? I mean, go see what's in your area, go see what's available, go see what's for sale. And by your area, I mean your farm. And by farm, right, I mean the place that you're actually looking to buy a property. And just look at property after property after property until you know them. You'll know them cold.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Say, do you do any I know a lot of wholesalers do this. Do you do any JVs? Do you work with other wholesalers, other investors to do deals together, or are you just always by yourself?
No, I do it. I like to call myself a transaction coordinator.
Really?
If there's an opportunity to be had, I'll get in the middle of that.
Okay, so
sure.
Explain how that would work. I mean, again, because I know there's a lot of different ways a JV could work, but what kind of typically do you see happen?
One way is someone who has a house they have under contract and they'll bring it to me and they're having trouble selling it, and since I have a large buyers list, I can send that out. I have to be careful how that's worded because I am an agent. Yep. and it's not listed, so there's some stuff there I have to be really careful with. But otherwise, I'll actually buy it from them maybe and then sell it myself. Then on the back end of that, I'll try to give them a split of the profit, and there's all kinds of different ways to make it happen.
Okay. And you are an agent, you are a broker. Do you recommend other wholesalers or investors in general, but specifically wholesalers, should they get their license?
I think so. I know it's a question asked a lot on BP, and for me, it's the only way I'd ever do it again because I have access to the MLS.
Yeah.
And since I make so many offers, if I came to myself as an agent wanting to make all these offers, I would tell them, "There's no way I'm going to make all these offers for you."
Yep.
So you have to do it yourself.
It's not worth your time as an agent if somebody's making that many offers because the success rate is so low.
Right.
So, it makes sense for somebody to go get their own license and go do it. Now, that's not to say that, all investors do that, but, because we talk to agents too, right? There's agents that are listening to this, and some of them might be like, oh my God, that's crazy. I'm not, why the hell would I ever want to work with investors? Well, because there's a lot of investors who are doing buy and hold through agents that are, turning around property left and right, and you're going to stack your commissions up. If you have, instead of going and hunting for, one client, at a time, you get a good investor like a guy like Brandon, and well, he's not that active, but you get an active flipper, or you get an active, more active person, and you're going to do a bunch of deals a year, and you don't even have to look for new clients. You find one or two great investors.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
No, that's great.
You mentioned cash buyers a second ago. You have a large cash buyers list. And, when I talk to wholesalers on BP, a lot of times that's the first thing they say is, I got to build my cash buyers list. And it's such like a thing that they feel like that's the number one thing they have to do before finding a deal, before doing anything. Do you agree with that? I mean, where does a cash buyers list come into play, and how does somebody build that?
No, I don't think you have to have that at all. I think if you can't sell your deal, then you don't have a deal.
Ooh, I like that.
It's because
that is
if it's
tweetable
a deal
right there.
If you have a truly good opportunity, then they'll find you somehow, because there's always people looking. So that's the first thing, is to get the good deal. I hate to use the word deal so much. That's a used car term.
I know. I say that all the time too, and I'm like, there needs to be a better word for what we always talk about. But
yeah. Opportunity.
Sure, there you go.
The good opportunity comes along, you'll sell it. Yeah. And so don't focus on building your website or building the buyers list, or get out there and get something.
Yep.
Get something under contract, throw it on the web, and see what happens.
Yeah, it's amazing how people spend so much time doing things that they think are helping them, but they're really just wasting time. Because it makes them feel like they're doing work. They got this pretty website, and they got this pretty, whatever.
I don't think that's why. I think it's like back to my buddies, the gurus. I think it's because the gurus sell that. They teach them that that's what you have to do. And they also offer the product. So they've got the websites, they've got the materials, they got all this crap, hey, learn how to buy a buyer's list, okay, all this nonsense. Yeah. It's irrelevant. Find a deal. Period. Absolutely. Find a deal. Yeah. Once you start doing deals in business, then you could start worrying about scaling up and kind of, figuring the rest of the details. But, you got to first figure out how to get a deal.
Right. That actually just happened to one of the guys here in the area last year. He spent months and months with the website and all these cool automated, when he wants to send a letter, he pushes one button and it creates it through, 3 different steps, and all these outsourcing, and had it all the, the really high-tech polished, for the back office, but he still wasn't doing deals.
Yeah.
And he finally had to stop about 9 months into it, actually stop and do a full reboot and start all over. Yeah. And now he's starting to do a few deals. But that first, because he got so tied up in that mentality, and I even told him, I said, "What are you doing? You're not making any money with a website."
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and it's not, like you said, it's not just the website, it's the automation tools and all this stuff. And there's lots of promises out there of like this system, and I don't mean just like the educational system. I mean like this software system is going to, do it for you. It's going to automate your whole business. Yep. No, it's not going to automate.
We get those emails. Josh and I get those emails all the time from people that are like, "What do you think about this software? They said that it will send deals to my doorstep and help me close them and find me cash buyers to do it, and I can just sit and do nothing. What do you think about that?" And every time I just shake my head, I'm like, "You have no idea what you're doing." It just drives me nuts. But anyway, it's good to see that you're putting in the hard work that it actually, because it is. You mentioned earlier, you said this is your job. Like wholesaling, finding deals, doing this game. It is would you say full-time job? Are you at this 40 hours a week?
Yes. I'd say for the acquisition side of things, 40 to 45 hours easily a week.
There you go. Right on. And so what's your goal? I mean, do you want to be doing this, and by this, I mean, the wholetailing, for the next X number of years, or obviously you're keeping a bunch of these properties for yourself. So presumably you're building a portfolio, and at some point you'll have enough in your portfolio that it's, building you that passive income to help you kind of tune down. Is that kind of the plan?
Right. Because I don't think I'll ever quit sales. I don't care if it's selling cars or selling houses or selling bubble gum. I love sales. So but I could see slowing down a lot and doing a few large deals a year, and then just living off the cash flow.
Right on.
Cool.
Right on. That's great. Hey, before we move on to the next section, we've got a question here, which is what is on your business card? Do you have business card? What's on it?
Yes, it says, yes, I really do buy houses.
Right on.
And it's big letters. It's really bold. And I seen that recently, and I thought that was nice. So I just got some made that says that. Then on the flip side, in fine print, it talks about how we put people into homes without the use of a bank, and so we do a lot of lease to owns with our personal properties, and then we use private money to do that. So we talk about how to help the end person, the end user, own a home without a bank, plus how to help someone like with an IRA, self-directed, making more than 0.06% in a CD or 2% on Wall Street.
Yeah. So you've got a pretty big, I mean, it's like a pretty fully integrated business that you've built now. I mean, you've got lots of strategies that are kind of simultaneously working. How do you track it all? How do you manage it all?
We just use so the tracking side is QuickBooks Online. We just switched to online version recently. And then we have a really good accountant, which is key, very aggressive. When it comes to accounting, I'm all about it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
And a strong accountant can help you that. He's actually on BP, so
nice.
So there that, and then just a few spreadsheets. Really, it's nothing exotic. I don't have a big, some one of those software packages you was talking about or anything. That's about it.
Cool.
Yeah. Right on.
Cool. All right. Well, why don't we move on to the world famous fire round?
It's time for the fire round.
Oh, it's world famous.
It is world famous.
World famous, yes.
All right, the fire round. These questions come directly out of the BiggerPockets forum. So number one, I am new to wholesaling, and I am asking for proof of funds before showing deals. What is a good way if it's a cash buyer? So let me re-say that. So I'm new to wholesaling, and I think I'm being asked for proof of funds before. I don't know if I like that question. Let me think of exactly.
No, I actually think it's a good question.
I'm wondering how they're phrased it. Yeah, I'm asking for proof of funds before showing deals. What is a good way if it's a cash buyer? Okay, I think what he's saying is, so I'm a wholesaler, and when I'm gonna sell a deal to somebody, I'm asking the buyer for proof of funds. What's the best way to get that proof of funds from the cash buyer? Does that
just straight ask? Yeah, just ask for it. I mean, if it's the first time you've worked with someone, and they're wanting to see it, they want to they want to do all this waste your time, but so instead of wasting your time, so that's the first thing I ask is for sure is a POF, and which isn't really worth the paper it's written on, because you can find them on the web for free, but anyway, it's a starting point. But yeah, just ask for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Right on. And that is literally just somebody saying, hey, I've got money in the bank that I can potentially close on this deal. Yeah. Right on. All right. I'm just starting out as an investor and really have an interest in rehabbing properties. What are the best properties to look for?
Something simple at first. I don't like to do the really old historic stuff. You get into, you've got lead-based paint, you've got historic societies to deal with, you've got plaster. So something simple, just a little 3-1 ranch or 3-2 ranch on a slab in an older part of town that's still halfway decent. Just get that, do a little, do paint carpet, do a kitchen, and do that first, just to go through that. And then once you get that experience, then you can start to expand.
Okay.
Right on.
Number 3. As an investor, have you found it easy to obtain a small business credit card or a traditional line of credit in your business? You mentioned very briefly earlier credit cards, but do you use them, or do you recommend people use them?
Yes, you have to get those in your personal name usually, because they won't give you anything in an LLC or corp for 2 to 3 years of seasoning. So just get one in your personal name. When I first came back from Canada, we had horrible credit because we was gone, and it's worse to have zero credit versus bad credit. So we couldn't get a loan hardly for anything. But for some reason they would give me a signature line of credit, which was silly. They wouldn't give me anything else.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, that's what you use. And then, so get that credit card as soon as you can. Try to use it every month, pay it off. after a few months, ask for more and just keep on getting a higher limit. And then you can start using that to buy houses with.
Right on, right on.
Cool.
What about my last question on the fire round is, staging. Do you stage your own rentals, flips, or wholesale deals with furniture or knickknacks? Full stages, half stage, semi-stage, or not at all?
We do a little bit. We'll do something in the kitchen. Some nice colorful plates, some little candle stuff, some little knickknack. Do the same thing in the bath, and then in the family room, I've got like a 55-inch plasma prop TV that I bought, that I sit in there just to give the illusion of this could potentially be the man cave, or this could be where the TV goes, just to give it. But that's about it. I don't really do any furniture or anything.
Okay. Cool.
Right on.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the world famous. Famous for. All right, number 1. What is your favorite real estate book, Shawn?
Oh, you've heard it so many times.
That's all right.
Usual Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's what really was profound and got me started on the real estate path. So I have to say that.
Cool.
Awesome. What about business book? Any favorites?
I like the E-Myth.
Okay.
I used that back when we for other businesses we've had, and that really helped get the structure and get the job descriptions and stuff like that written out. So that helped a lot.
Cool. Excellent. Awesome. And hobbies. What do you do for fun, man? Surely not just real estate.
Lots of work. I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, and just recently, after finishing the 10X rule, I had to quit that because I was wasting too much time.
Nice.
So we like to still travel quite a bit, and try to get out with my family.
Right on.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
right.
Yeah, I too was a video game addict for a long time. And
did they have video games back then, like Pong? Was that your game?
I did play Pong, but thank you for the veiled insult, you son of a.
Oh, that wasn't supposed to be veiled. I don't know. That was.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in, whether it's like Call of Duty or like a little game on your phone. I mean, you can just get sucked in. So a good way to find time is to get rid of them all.
Yeah. Actually, I have an Xbox One that I don't play very often, so I lent it to my buddy for the last 3 months while I was working on my book, which is, I'm not going to talk about that, but there's a new book coming out sometime soon. Anyway, so while I was finishing that, I gave it to my buddy because I would not write the book if I was playing video games. So yeah, if you're somebody at home, you're playing too much video games, lend it to your friend for a few months. It's amazing what you'll get done.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. My final question. What do you believe sets apart successful real estate investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Just keep pushing forward. I mean, you've heard it over and over again, and that's what I tell people still. When you fall down, get back up. If you're not falling down and getting hurt, then you're not trying hard enough. I hate to see people just sit around and they say they're trying, but they're not, or they're always negative. The sky is falling. Woe is me. That's average. Just get up and try something. I'd rather fall on my face a few times versus sit at home and think about what if.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's great. I love it. Hey, before I ask my last question, you're pretty active on BP and have been. You've been around for years. You got 847 posts. Why do you do it?
That actually is what got me started. I think the whole thing moving forward was for the first 6 months I starved when I went full time, and I was doing very little, and we had some savings, thank goodness. So I was just kind of sitting around and not knowing what to do or how to make it. So I started doing my own wholesale versus trying to be an agent for other buyers. But one thing someone suggested was to get on BP and just go in there and say hi. And so I started, so I did a search for the keywords, and so I spend maybe 2 hours per week now. But when I first got started, for the first 3 months, after 3 months, I started getting calls. People saying, "Hey, I see what you said, and we're in California. Want to buy something in your area? Can you help us?" Nice. And now again, I only spend 1 to 2 hours a week, but I get I've got private lenders for BP, where they find me. I don't ask for it. Where they come to me. I probably sell 1 or 2 properties per month because of BP. I don't use the advertising that much. There's people call that they're out of town and they want to come to town. They want to see what's going on. I show them around, and so absolutely, I'd recommend start getting on there and spending an hour or so a week at the very minimum, and you'll start seeing results for sure.
That's great. That's awesome, man. Awesome. All right. So Shawn, where can people find you? I know we talked about not needing a website, but surely you've got one now and you're out there. So where can people find you online?
For the most part, just there on BP. You can find me there. I have a website. I haven't updated in probably 2 years, so I don't even use it. Right on. And so just go to BP, and I'll be glad to help out any way I can.
And we'll link to that in the show notes. And the direct link to Shawn's profile is real easy, biggerpockets.com/users/HHS. All right, Shawn. Well, listen, man, it's been great. Definitely a pleasure talking to you. Congrats on all the success and building this pretty solid business you got there. And thanks for sharing with everybody. And we'll look forward to seeing you around on BiggerPockets.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome, man.
See you around.
All right, guys, that was Shawn Holsapple. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully you heed his advice and get out there and make offers and stop sitting around and waiting for things to come to you. Yep. Stop wasting your time and energy on all-in-one systems that are going to solve the world's problems for you. They're not going to. You have to do it. You have to get out there and make things happen. So get out there, make offers. I'm not sure if you guys got this, but for me, hearing Shawn, he's got his sources, right? He's got the MLS, he's got auctions, and he's got HUD, and he's just working it and focused on it. And obviously it's yielding incredible results. The guy's not even marketing, to hear a wholesaler, wholesaler who's not doing any marketing. I think a lot of people would be shocked to hear that. And so I think it's a great model, and, want to encourage other people to try it out. Yeah,
very cool. I'm very motivated now to go get my license and start making more offers.
Make moves. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen, this is show 136 of the BiggerPockets podcast. We definitely appreciate you listening. Please check out the show notes, and you can interact and ask Shawn any questions you want at biggerpockets.com/show 136. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and LinkedIn. We're all over the place. Check us out. Get involved in BiggerPockets itself. Jump on our forums today at biggerpockets.com/forums. If you don't have an account, get in there and make one and start connecting with guys like this. This is how we make things happen. We interact and meet people and build our network. So get out there and do it. Otherwise, I don't know. Brandon, the picture of the light above your head makes it look like you've got one of those napkin hats on your head. It's actually pretty funny.
I do. That's my movie studio set up behind me. I'm going to go film a couple Ask BP videos today, which people should be checking out at biggerpockets.com/askbp. That is the other podcast we run here at BiggerPockets. So
yes. Well, listen, man, welcome back. We are glad to have you. And all right, guys, let's get out of here. I'm Josh Dorkin, signing off.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.